What's up, YouTube? Elio here with Life with a Pepperoni, and today we're back on the Roadster. So the last episode, we put the body onto the subframe, and I thought I had more time, but I didn't. So me and my dad put the body together and kind of got it situated on the subframe. And this time, we're gonna be extending the frame 7.5 inches, because on the later rear axle, it's spring behind the axle rather than on top like a Model A is. So we'll have to move this perch back 7.5 inches. And then I got these plates here actually that I explained last time, but I'll use these to finish up the frame so it looks factory. So these kind of like, they look home built, but they did a good job and they match the dimensions of the frame rail. So it'll just clean it up and finish it off and it'll look good. So, oops. So I'm gonna, that's as much I'm gonna notch it. So whatever that is, ends up being like 4 inches, 4.5 inches. I'm gonna raise this as well. So how we're gonna do it, we'll pull the body off, and then I have some 3x2, I think it is, or some, yeah, 3x2. I'll measure here where it's 3 inches. I'll match it up, and then we'll take some measurements, do some triangular math, and see how far it needs to be for 4.5 inches or so, and weld those in. Well, the 7.5 over and 4.5 up. And that's where we're gonna be at for this one. So that'll probably take a while since I misjudged the last one completely. So yeah, let's get started with pulling the body off. So here we're just trying to get it situated to pull off the body. I've done bolt a few things, and then we just kind of lift it up because it weighs not that much, because these old cars don't weigh much. They're pretty light. So here's the material that I was talking about. It's a true 2x3. So what I was gonna do is measure kind of where 3 inches here, right here, and then chop it right there. Probably run this there, miter this on an angle, up 4.5 inches, and then back, and then here while extending it 7 inches. So we'll draw it up on the table with some chalk so we can get some true dimensions, and that's about it. This is right here is where the subframe ends. This little Sharpie mark here, that's where the subframe ends, and then those pieces can go on. So that's the latest I can, or that's the earliest I can step up for the C-notch. So what we'll do is cut it here where it's 3 inches, go to a bit past here, and then from there we'll go up. And then since this is still 3 inches, the spacing that we put this in here and up has to total 7.5 inches. So then this moves back 7.5 inches. So it'll make more sense once we do it on the table. So right here, we'll take the 3 OD, which is, I need a Sharpie. It's about there. Yeah, so that's 3. So that's where we're gonna cut to put this in line with this. So that's gonna go there like that. And then we'll need, that's as soon as we can go up. So what's that? So that's 6 inches. So we need 1.5 inches in reality. So maybe what we'll do is, I'm not sure yet. Because we can't really, like, even if this was up straight, we couldn't really do that. So maybe what I'll do is I can cut it here. This can slip inside. And then here, no, that doesn't help us either. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to rethink this. Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do. So since this here is where the subframe ends, we'll go probably like 1/2 inch or so past it. So then we have some meat. And what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll put it at the angle. We need 7, and that equals total 4.5 inches up and 7.5 inches over. And whatever that angle is here, we will cut the bottom so it sits flat on the bottom frame rail. And the top will sit level, and we'll be able to incorporate the back piece cut on the bottom, but keep the top. So it'll kind of clamp over like this, and then the bottom will be like this and the bottom side. So then we'll have three places of weld, and then we'll fish plate it on top of that, and then this and this will sit parallel with it, what it was before. So I was probably really bad at explaining that, but I'll draw it up on the table and we will be good. I'm trying not to get fancy with a CNC machine here. I'm trying to just use box tubing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is pretend this edge here is a frame rail. That's where the frame is. Pretend it's 3 inches up, wherever it is. So there's the frame rail. So now we're gonna take this. Let's go like this. There's the frame. Here I'm just laying out on the table just a rough direction of what I'm doing. I'm just gonna mark off my 3 inches that replicates the frame rail, and then the 7.5 inches of the horizontal that I have to go. And then I'm just gonna find the degree, mark the degree up, and kind of go from there and find where we need to be. This is all just roughing it out on the table. Like, I'm not really doing any math at all. I'm just kind of going, if this is this length and this is that length, and this has to be this and this angle. And then I just pretty much cut accordingly. It's no rocket scientist over here. So what I found out, it's 61 degrees, as you can see here. So 3 inch, there's 7.5. So the difference of here is gonna be 4.5 inches. And from here to here is also 7.5 inches. So this angle here is going to be, what was it? Yeah, 60-ish degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'll grab the saw, set it up at 60 degrees, cut this one at 60, and then I'll flip this around, and that, no, that one's going to stay there. And then this one I'm going to cut at 60 as well. And then that will fit into the rear frame. And then this one here will fit into the front. And I'll kind of dissect the pieces so it can go over it. And then I can get a full perimeter weld as well as fish plating it. So cut that there. Gonna take a square and I'm gonna kind of mark off the frame where we're gonna cut. So I'm gonna take from the back here, let's do 7 inches. So I'll just go 7, go here, And then on this side as well. And then on this side. Okay, so now that's where we're gonna cut the top portion, this and this side. The bottom I'm gonna cut along here, I believe. No, I'm just gonna cut straight through to begin with, and then, no, what I'm gonna do, so for the back here, I'm gonna slice here and here, and I'm probably gonna come like 2 inches this way, and then slice here, or even 3 inches. I'll probably come 3 inches, honestly, because it's 2 by 3. So now when I place the piece in here, the bottom is gonna fit to here. We'll take the measurement from over there, and I'll take an exact measurement of how far it's gonna go in. So then it's fully bottomed out on the piece. So when it goes like this, that piece there is capped the bottom, and we can get a weld around the whole thing. And then the top is gonna be kind of the opposite. When it comes up, we'll need more on the top, which is back here. So the top will be fine. And we have about 3 inches there. We have 3 inches before these supports here. So that should just work out. So that's what we're gonna do. So here you can see me just cutting the back of the frame off. I'm just being careful, making sure I'm staying on the one side of the line on each side so my overall cut dimensions are equal. And then you'll see I have to cut horizontal so then it can create that reinforcement cap on the bottom when I put the kick up. I measured it, it's 1 inch. So I'm gonna slice back on this 1 inch. And then I'll come across the bottom. So we'll do 1 inch on each side. And then we'll go from the inside out probably. Sick. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna clean all this up and then we'll get this thing situated. So, yeah. It's pretty thick. I hope this is...
I don't mind following you.
Yeah, no, I hear. There. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, what we'll do is we'll cut this one off here, since I said cut. And here is the overhang that it's gonna be taking that 1 inch right here on the frame rail. So on this side, since we took 1 inch here, it's gonna equal to 1 inch back here, and that'll give us our 60-degree angle here. So I'm gonna trace this here, this portion here, there and there, and then I'm gonna weld that, and then over here, it will push it back enough where this is boxed, and it'll look pretty well, just like a stock style frame. So I hope. So that's what we're gonna do there. So here I am just cutting all the pieces that I marked out just to make sure that it aligns with a frame, and then I'll have to remark it again and actually cut one side of the tube and not the other so it lays perfectly in line with the frame, and there's a spot for the frame rail to go into. And then here I am just marking off the other piece of tube with the measurements of the first tube. So just going to copy them so they're exactly the same, so both frame rails are the same, and then once we put it on the car, we'll just have to find center from those, but these will already be in place of where they need to be. So yeah, here I am just marking it out and just copying it exactly how it was. No, that was wrong. Okay, so I cut that one a bit too much. That's okay. That is not 60. Should we make it 60? Because that should be like that. Yeah. I think we gotta go in a little bit. Is this one 60? If this one is 60, that one also is not 60. Okay, cool, that's good. That means we have common issue. AKA, I did it wrong. Cool. Well, we're gonna have to do a bit more grinding, Dad, sorry.
It's okay.
You have earplugs?
No, I'm good.
Good.
Thanks.
That's for that stuff. That's gonna help. Here I'm just aligning the cross member on the table. We're just showing you that like both pieces are pretty much identical. That's super important, so then you just want to make sure both are symmetrical when you put them in. And then I have the cross member clamped to the table. You can see on the left hand side there, and those little notches are where it's gonna actually incorporate into each other. So then from the outside it looks level and even. Here I am just tacking it together, and then you'll see I have the, I don't know what you call that, the square there, and I measure the heights and just make sure both are even. So then we have our straight edge on the right side there, and then our height, and it should theoretically be pretty damn close. And then once we put it on the car, you'll see later on that I actually use a tape measure and square off both sides. And then once it's squared to a common center point, then we can go from there and just ensure that it's going to be even. Okay, so I'm gonna have to like weld the outside. There's gaps. Oh well.
Only 10% of the battery remaining.
That's okay.
You want to turn it off?
No?
No.
So now, so we got the little Z kick up done, like as far as that goes. I kind of measured a bit wrong here just because I didn't realize the kick it had. So once we kind of get this in, I'll trace this here and cut out this so it comes flush with here as well as this side. And then, yeah, so if my measurement's right, I gotta come in quite a bit. So, because from there to there is 7 inches or 7.5. So I'm gonna have to cut probably an inch on the top just to match. And then that will bring the rest of this to the cut line. And then this will be here kind of where we want. So I'm gonna cut the 1 inch right now. And then I'm gonna come back tomorrow and finish it off. Monkey back here, but oh, okay. I was like, what? I was like, I think I thought this through. And that's how that's going to go. So here, obviously, like I said, I'm going to cut out this. And I'll probably do that again. And I'll cut out that. So that comes flush with this. And this side comes flush with that. And this will come out. I can weld all here. Make it all look as good as I can. Like, it's not going to be perfect. And then, yeah, the frame is done. I don't know what angle this is going to be. Where is my level? A, B, C, D. Okay. So that's at 1 degree. Right here, we're at 2 degrees. So I'm going to have to probably pop this up a little bit like that. And drop this down, but it's pretty much where it has to go. So yeah, that's all for today, and I'll be back tomorrow. So here I am aligning the rear of the frame. I had some issues here. Like, I didn't realize, I don't know, in my head it didn't really work out the way I had thought. For instance, there's a kick going wider horizontally in the frame, and I didn't take that into consideration, so I just had to adjust it a little bit, and it kind of just took way longer than I originally thought for the fact that I didn't take in consideration of that. So I actually had to recut a few things, retack a few things, and just kind of like, all my main cuts on the back were right, but it was the ones on the actual frame where I'm cutting right now. Just, I didn't push it forward enough, and originally, I guess it's just part of doing it all on the fly, and just my original measurements just didn't measure out completely. Like, it just wasn't perfect. So there was that, and then I didn't take into consideration the angle that the frame was actually kicked out horizontally. So, like, it goes wider at the back. So when I aligned the tubes parallel to the frame, it actually, since we're adding 7.5 inches, it actually pushed the frame a lot more. So I had to just readjust a few things. I was like in the middle of this. I kind of was like, oh no, I gotta do this, and just kind of did it quickly so I can continue on. But yeah, that was kind of some hardship during doing the rear here. Just, it didn't go as planned, but it went as it needed to be. So, got this all kind of lined up here. Had to make a few adjustments over there just as it was wrong. So now I marked out here. So I'm going to cut this out here on this tube. And then this will be able to slide this way just a little bit. And then it'll sit flush with the end of the frame. And then I'm going to, yeah, once that's cut out, then I'm going to realign it, take measurements, make sure it's square again. Make sure that I have 4.5 inches of lift. 4.5 inches, 5. Like, we'll just see whatever sits level. And then we're on to welding it all. So, and then we will tackle the front frame rails. Here I'm just tacking the pieces in place now that I have it all square. Yes, I'm closing my eyes when I tack. You should not weld without a welder. So here I'm just cutting that inner plate that I said I was going to cut. So what this will allow the frame to do is go in line with the outside of the frame. So it kind of looks all as one. I know I'm going to be adding a fish plate to it and stuff, but at least it's level and you don't have 3/16 or 1/8 inch, whatever the material of the frame thickness is, kind of intruding on top of it. So it looks flush. It just looks a lot nicer. And then with the fish plate added, it will be very strong. So now that I got these all tacked in where they need to go, we got the 7.5 inch extension and the 4.5 inch raise. I'm just gonna weld them in now. So I'll do some pretty good tacks / weld. And here I am just finished welding the frame and getting the fish plates in and pretty much just doing that. Want to make sure that everything's burnt in pretty tight. Everything's good. I'm just knocking down that rear kind of extra piece that I stated earlier that we cut off. So now that wraps around the bottom and I could perimeter weld it. I'm pretty glad this frame's light. It was nice to be able to just put it on its side and work around it rather than having to me lay on my side and just work around it. We all know how those positions are and stuff, and it sucks. I'm not exactly getting old, but laying on concrete never gets comfortable. So yeah, here I am just making sure everything's good to go and getting ready to actually lay out and weld in the fish plates. So got the frame all kind of welded up. Then I'm not that best at MIG welding. It's just I don't have a lot of practice at it. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna make some fish plates right now, just some reinforcement brackets that kind of follow this. Maybe I'll just do one full one with a couple holes in the middle here just to weld around it. And then that will kind of take care of the strength wise, just because I used an 1/8 inch. I'll probably use 3/16. Just do that, weld that together, and then the back is pretty much done. So we've extended it 7.5 inches and up 4.5 inches. You can kind of see there. So yeah, so now the rear axle and spring and stuff should fit. So and then we have to tackle this. So yeah, so that's where we're at. Just wanted to give some insight on where we're at. So gonna do that now. So here I am just using normal template paper, just cardboard paper that you buy for cheap, using the dirty finger trick, just marking out the perimeter of the frame just so it gives me a rough idea of how I'm gonna, like what area I have to work in. So originally I was gonna do just like 2 little diamond shapes in the middle there, and then I eventually sorted to like one big one just because the tube material that I got was a bit thinner, so I'm like, might as well reinforce it completely the entire way. So here's the fish plate I kind of made, so I'll be able to get a weld around here and then here as well, and then I'm going to do a slot here and then a hole and hole, so I can plug weld. I'll probably extend this just a little bit, but I'll be able to do like a plug weld into this frame, and onto the centerpiece here that's a bit thinner. So I'm going to bring this onto the laptop and make it. So what I have here is just like a super basic Epson scanner. So here's another bracket I did. So what I do with this is I just place this on there. I'll have this angle and this angle, so that will work out. And then I have a ruler actually taped to the scanner itself, so I can make all of my dimensions and calibrations to make sure this piece is to size. So these being here and here, I can kind of like let be. And then all you do is close that, come to the computer. So here I am just scanning the template that I had. It's only a 12-inch by 8-inch surface, so I don't really have the most area, but for most things it works well. So here I am importing it into Fusion 360. This is the CAD program I use. It's way overkill for most things, but it's the one I enjoy and I'm used to using. So right now I'm just scaling it. I usually go from the 1 to the 6, as that's where it works best. When you go to 0, it doesn't really have a hard line to show, so I don't trust it. So that's why I'm going to the 1 here. And then once you scale that, you get a full-size real scale of what you actually just put into the scanner. And now I'm just going to trace along with some lines to just make the actual piece. I don't have to, like, I know designing it here, I don't have to copy the Sharpie lines exactly, just that's my threshold of where I have to be. So just run you through that quickly. So I got the fish plates all cut and cleaned up. And I think that looks pretty good like that. They're pretty much symmetrical, so I'm just gonna weld this in here, clean this up a little bit more, and then zap it in, and then the frame's pretty much done at that point, like for the back half here. I didn't cut any rivets or anything, so that should all be strong. So that's... So here I am just placing the fish plate and just tacking it in and then getting it welded in. Just do a nice little couple tackies here and there, get the welder set up, and then I'll do the plug weld holes, the rosette welds, and then I'll just go to town on the perimeter of it. So yeah, there we go. Nice and easy. Get it hot and strong. So weld her up. Thing that always happens. Well, maybe it doesn't always happen, but it's happened to me a few times. I have that much weld left, and we ran out of wire. Ah! So now we'll take out the big gun. Hopefully there's wire in that one. So just looking here, I think I'm gonna just make a little plate, boxing plate that goes there and reinforces that, just because that'll make it a bit stronger. So I'll just tie all that in together. These are pretty much welded in. My welding got better as I went through, so that's good. And yeah, so I'm just gonna make a template of here, cut 2 of those out quickly, and then weld those in, and then we're good to go. So got these plates cut, just little trapezoid thingamajiggies, so that's gonna go in there like that. Get some weld around that, and I'll feel safer about the whole back end, because all the weight's on here at the end of the day, so might as well make it a bit beefier. So I'm just gonna weld those in right now, and then back's done. Done, we're almost there. And then honestly, probably I'll cut the subframe, put the body on, see if I can jack it up, put the subframe on, and then I'll do the front, because the front will be like, I'll have to decide if I'm gonna make a new piece or not. So here I'm just welding up the little extra rear frame reinforcements. I'm pretty happy I went with this route and I actually made them. I think it'll add a lot. And then here I just got some scrap steel And there's a bit of space on the lower portion of the frame rail there, just because I did not take account of the frame actually getting wider. So that was an amateur mistake, and I'm quite the amateur, so here I am just filling in the gap there using a back plate to set the weld and get that done on both sides, and the rear frame is pretty much done at this point, so a couple more things to go. So there we have the, I guess, Z, the notch, the little kick up in the rear of the frame. So see it there, box that up, fill in the little gap down there. Looks pretty good. Looks very old hot rod. I'm trying, like, I know I made the notching plate or the fish plates out of like on the CNC machine and stuff, but that's just like quicken up the process. I didn't do any fancy curves or anything. I was like straight line and a thing just to save me some time. I want it to look like it was done way back when. That's why I'm not like TIG welding this or anything. Like I don't know how to stick weld, and I'm not going to pull out a stick welder to do this aspect of it. I want it safe, but yeah, so now I'm going to get on. Need a battery, that would help. One. All done. Okay. Now I've been thinking of how I'm gonna put this under the body, and I think the easiest way is. And then came the balancing act of me trying to figure out how to do this myself. This was a struggle. Like with two people, it's not that bad, but with one person, it's quite heavy. And then I play the little leverage game and put it up there, and it goes on not too bad. There you can see me just scooting it around, and then the front comes down, and you know what? We got a body on a frame. So running into a bit of an issue here. I kicked it up just a bit too soon. I think I should have just went later and came up. It would have made more sense. And then I can't tell if this is too wide or not. It's kind of on there, but the front body mounts right now, so I might have to cut these later because it's hitting on both sides. But other than that, it's pretty good. I think I could probably cheat the height there once I put some body mounts in and spacers. They just have wood from factory, so I might do that. Otherwise, the body's on the frame. So I'm just gonna chop like a 1/4 inch off of here and the other one. I'll just take a grinder to it. And that should just, like, it doesn't need much. It's just pushing the quarters out a little bit, just because that was never under the frame to begin, under the wheel well to begin with. Probably hit those up a little bit more and then grind them and then weld those back. And then I just got to figure out body mounts for the back, I guess. So originally they used wood. I think I can figure out a way, like if I sit the body kind of like pretty much on the frame with rubber, I can get the body to sit lower on the frame because they're like 1/2 inch. Everybody's like 3/8, but I grabbed some and they're quite thick. So I'm gonna use a bit thinner stuff. I'll probably just use rubber, drill some new holes and stuff, and mount that up. So yeah, so I'm gonna chop the frame rails first, hammer the subframe a little bit, and then I'll figure out body mounts later. I want to finish the front spring perch. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So here I decided to just go ahead and cut a 1/4 inch off the end of the frame rails here. So the reason for having to cut these off is I guess the car is a bit wider, closer to the front, and me having to move this back to accommodate the 1948 rear axle, just a little bit had to get chopped off just to make ends meet. Hey guys, so I was editing the video last night and it's like 49, 50 minutes and that's gonna be it. So it's just, I don't want them to go over an hour, and 45 to 50 minutes seems pretty good. So this one will be a bit longer, but the rear frame is pretty much done. Like, here's some video of it in the car. There's that chopped off and now there's room there. There's room there, and that's kicked up just a little bit. Once I get spacers, that would be pretty good. This past weekend we went to a swap meet, the Maple Ridge swap meet. It's small, not the best, but there's always gold. There's always good stuff there, and Carl was vending. We go every year. They have a spring and fall one, and it's our favorite one. It's not the biggest, not the best, but there's good stuff. So I got this Roadster only 2829 header panel, which I had this one prior. See how Roadster goes into a point here. This one doesn't. And then it flares out on the side to match the posts, where this one doesn't. So that was a really rare piece. Thanks, Bob. Bob's always like, I got this. I'm going to bring it to the swap meet for you. And then what else did I get? I got, a 1940 Ford column, which I need. So I need the column and the shaft. So I'm going to cut the shaft and put it into my F1 box. And there's a really ratty 40 Ford steering wheel that will match the rattiness of my interior and seats. And then I got a universal, and I think that's it. Oh, and Dave, I know you're watching. This super old, nice 80-year-old gentleman came up to me and was like, he's been collecting Model A since he was 12, he said, like way back when, but collecting parts and building them. And he was like, man, I was watching your channel and I thought my car was rough. And I started laughing, and he's like, but yours is way worse. And he's like, I have a couple parts for you that I think you're gonna need. So I ended up getting his information and stuff, and he sent me some photos, and boy, like, I'm excited. I'm so amped. It's like all the parts that I need, and he has them. So that will be in a video coming up. I'm gonna be busy for the next week or so, and then we're gonna meet up with him, and then, yeah, things are going along. So I'm gonna end this here. Sorry with the video and stuff, some of the audio, I'm still figuring out these mics and stuff, and like when it's one way, it doesn't take outside sound, and then you press it again and it does. So I'm gonna focus better on that, but yeah. Just wanna say thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. This has been overwhelming, like your guys' views and everything and watch hours. It's so great. Like, couldn't have done it without you guys. I got a few stickers coming up, and I'm gonna be doing a pre-sale for shirts. I don't know if you guys are interested in hoodies yet, since it's summertime. Just put a comment if you guys are in for hoodies. I'm just finishing up my website, taking pictures of all the stickers and stuff, and finishing the designs, and they'll be up soon. And probably not when this video is posted, but the next one or the following. So it's just a lot of work for one person, and I'm trying to get it all done. So thank you guys so much for your love and support, and I'm gonna keep on building.